Welcome to the Mission35 podcast with your host, Brian Hogben.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the one, the only Tobias Smulders again. How are you, buddy?
Good.
Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome possum. So thanks for coming by. I know you're busy in this wild and crazy market right now.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Isn't it bananas?
It is. Just poor buyers trying to...
Poor buyers,
especially first-time buyers, trying to compete with all these investors with real money.
Yeah, seriously.
Right?
You know what's funny, actually? We were looking at our numbers, and we have not done a mortgage in the past 3 months. I think we've actually had one for a client that had less than 20% down.
Oh my goodness.
And we've done over 100 in the past couple months, and it's like even purchasers all have 20% down right now.
Yeah.
Because you can't win a house, right?
Yeah, totally. And even I think that makes it more important to get started on your investing sooner too.
Yeah, totally.
Because where else are you going to be able to come up with that kind of equity?
So you've been doing good, right? Because I know last time we chatted, we talked about how you got started building up the Smulders empire.
Yes.
And now it feels like it's quadrupled. I feel like you went on a buying frenzy.
Totally.
Which is cool because I like that. Tell me about that. What were you thinking?
It was definitely the first one was hard. Second one came quite difficult. Third one almost funded itself from the other houses.
That's
and
awesome.
then from there, it was 3 more houses, just like boom, 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 in 18 months maybe.
Man. So you're up to how many now? It's up to
6.
6?
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool, man. I love your story too because you really do have the Smulders empire because you employ the family too.
The whole family.
Seriously, which is cool because I love seeing that because you do it through the real estate, then you employ the family, and it just cascades into almost every aspect of your business.
Totally. And everybody helps out too. I don't know, I couldn't do it without my dad now.
Yeah.
Crazy,
So what does he do for you?
So he is full on getting all rentals. Everything we bought was an investment because it needed work too. So I used to do that all myself, but now I don't have time with work, real estate, being busy.
Totally.
So he is always got 1 or 2 projects on the go, one of the rental properties, renovating it, fixing it, increasing the value on it. We have one just recently we fixed right up, refinanced.
Nice.
For a line of credit to buy another property.
And just keep it rolling.
And so that's his full-time gig. On top of that, he helps with all the real estate listings. Everybody has that little closet door that's been hanging off for 6 years, and they're like, oh, we'll fix it when we get to it. But now their house is going up for sale. They're like, oh, we have to fix it.
We gotta get that done now.
So my dad goes in and fixes up all the little annoying handyman pieces that people need done, and then helps us with all our staging, moving everything in and out.
Yeah.
My dad, my brother, brother-in-law, and a family friend.
Man, that's so awesome because when you look at family pulling together and your family gets to win together, your brother, like you're saying, brother, man, you get to, it feels good to employ them. Do you know what I mean? They're contributing and you're helping them succeed as well too.
Yeah.
And that's all because, would you say that's because you started buying property?
It's solely out of necessity from the property.
Yeah.
It becomes a full-time job.
That's so
when
cool.
You get so many units, it's a big undertaking just to manage everything and make sure everybody's happy. You want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
And
there's no one you trust more than family too, right?
Totally.
So
they're never messing around.
You don't have to go crack the whip on them all the time, right?
No. Especially not my dad, hardest worker. Always.
I love your dad's an amazing guy. I've met him a couple times. Super guy.
Yeah.
So we were talking before about you buy a bunch of properties. A lot of people that we deal with, you get to 3 properties, 4 properties, 5. You got 6 now. Then the conversations start to come up to the multi-unit.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are you thinking now?
I'm in that process right now where I'm, trying to weigh the pros and cons between getting one big investment, one big building, unlike what you've done here with this awesome place.
Hey, trying.
With multitude of units in it versus, with what we know and what's comfortable, single family, duplex, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was something that took me a while to go into because I think there's economies of scale.
Yeah.
Right? When you end up getting the 7, 8, 9, 10 unit building.
Yeah.
My concern was about, someone told me about marketability. What do you think about the marketability between a single family and an apartment?
Yeah, I think a lot of people do really like the duplex style house where they're not in a big apartment building. I think that's the preferred product for somebody.
Yeah.
Unless they're, senior or something, they want an elevator right to their floor, no stairs, that kind of thing.
That's true.
But I think people like not having so many people in the building, but there's still a huge demand for that. We have so many buildings, even Effort Trust, if we're allowed to say their name, I don't know if we're allowed to
say
their
name.
For
sure we are, totally.
They have incredible buildings, huge, hundreds and hundreds of units just in buildings.
I think Effort Trust is actually in Hamilton, and I could be wrong, but I think they're the second biggest property taxpayer in Hamilton.
Oh my goodness.
Because they own so much property.
Next to the city of Hamilton or what?
Yeah, next to the city of Hamilton, right? Like landowner. And it's funny, it's funny you say that. That guy's story, do you know Arthur Wise, the guy who started Effort Trust?
No.
He bought his first house on Mary Street.
No.
And he was, he was new to the country, bought his house, refinanced it, bought another one, refinanced it, bought another one. Now the guy I think he passed away, but he owns a bank. He owns a trust company.
That's insane.
That's just no different from how you and I started.
That's exciting news though, right?
We could have a bank.
We could have a bank.
Yeah.
We could be Effort Trust.
Yes. We could be a trust company.
If the banks would just lend us more funds to buy more properties, right?
Yes.
That's for you guys now. Tough part is they want to limit investors, right?
It is a challenge. I'm not going to lie, in this market right now. We've had this conversation, right? When you're investing, you go through A funds. Mm-hmm. We call A funds bank funds, right? Yeah. Then you go to B funds, which is like trust company and stuff. Then you go to private, right? Yeah. And you know what? I think any investor, no matter how much you stuff, you eventually go through your A funds and your B funds and you go to private, right? Yeah. And it's just, I've been there, you've been there.
Totally.
What would you say to people that when you're getting into B and private land, what would you say just to make sure of, or anything to sort of?
Well, I got my first private mortgage, and I was like, sticker shock, I guess is the best way to say it. You go, oh my goodness, this is way more than I'm used to, or what I thought of. And it does initially startle you, but at the same time, there's a person on the other side of that really, they have a business, and their business is to make money off of you, and they're not the big five banks that have thousands of mortgages on their book. They might have one or two or three, and so they have to make it make sense for them. And as long as it makes money for you or contributes to your final goal, like for me, mine was in an area that was less desirable, but I knew that would be in the future an area that I want to have property in. 5 years down the road, it probably will be bank fundable.
5 years, I bet you it's already gone up in value. Right?
Absolutely.
Like it's probably this way.
By that time, it won't be feasible for me to purchase it. So maybe I paid slightly higher interest on it, but the end goal, I'm still going to save tons of money getting in early. The early adapter to things, no matter what it is, but real estate especially, early adapters always win out in the end.
Yeah, I think so. And I think I love that mindset, because sometimes investors don't get that mindset. They get they get too caught up on the cost, as opposed to what the future return is.
It becomes a cost of doing business. I talked to somebody recently, and they do a lot of development, brand new custom home building.
Oh, cool! That's a big cost, I bet. Getting into that,
huge cost. And he said that nobody really lends on that. Sometimes if they get like a knockdown that is livable, they can get a regular mortgage on that property, but nobody funds $800,000 construction costs or $700,000 construction costs. It's all private money.
Yeah, you're right.
And he said that they just factored in. They know it's going to be this long to build it. It costs this much. The money costs this much to borrow. It's part of the product on the end sale.
Makes sense, right? Like it's kind of like, it's like if you're flipping a house, if you're building a house, whatever you're doing, find out your expenses. Does it make money at the end? And it's all about the numbers.
Totally.
Right.
And if it makes sense, I say that to all the flippers. I say, it's going to take you this long, and the vacant home insurance is going to cost this much money.
That's true.
It's very expensive, right? That's another sticker shock item.
And don't lie about it, too.
Don't lie about it.
I know. I've heard. Have you had people say, "Oh, I'm just going to tell the insurance company I'm living there"?
It happens.
It happens. Don't do it. Don't do it.
If it burns down, you're really in trouble.
Oh, you're in shit, right? You will honestly, I say that because no joke about it, the mortgage company will not get paid out. You'll end up with a debt and no house.
Totally.
Right?
You'll end up with a a burned up house. You've been doing a renovation again.
You'll be camping there. Explain that one to my wife. Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that, right?
Yeah, totally. So, it's like with anything, even with rentals, a lot of people say, the insurance is very expensive. Mm-hmm. And I say, just no matter what, make sure you tell them that you have 3 tenants in there, because if the house burns down and you said it was single family, you lied to your insurance company. They may not fund whatever insurance product you have.
Yeah.
And the difference in money, like now with like 6 properties, and probably that yearly bill of insurance is getting up there. Yep. And it seems very enticing to try to save money on that. But that money that you save, it pales in comparison to you actually need that insurance.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's something that we never talk about, but it's so true. It's such a... It does add up, right? Like, the more properties you have, like, you start looking at insurance bills get bigger, but it's like...
$1,200 a month times 8 properties.
It starts to get quite a bit,
It's a lot of money.
But how... And, we always look at how much it costs, but when you said so yourself, imagine you had a payout or something that didn't pay out, and then you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
We say the same thing with liability insurance, too.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people say get $1 million liability. When you start getting more properties, maybe you should get $2 million. Maybe you should get $3 million, and the extra $100 a year can protect you.
Yeah, and that's what it's about too. It's protecting your. You work so hard for so long to attain all these things. You don't want to lose it for one little $100 a month.
Yeah,
thing, right?
It's true.
And
it's
cost of doing business. You can't make money without spending money.
Yep.
That's just one of the monies you have to spend to continue on with your business to make sure it's safe.
Yeah, I agree. And you say
just
right.
Just about your car insurance, say you live up north.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. You know what? Yeah, it's $20 a month.
We're down here visiting our rental properties, but
for
we
a long time. Yeah. You got a cottage address I could use?
My parents used to live up there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Totally. I'm just kidding. That's cool. I think the moral of the story is make sure you always do things the right way. Because I think there's a lot of realtors. I know there's a lot of mortgage brokers that want to cut corners.
Yeah.
And say, oh, I got a way to do this, or I got a little way, and I've just seen it work out badly for people so many times.
Yeah.
Bad expectations.
Yeah, expectations is the big thing. You want to make sure that expectations are realistic, always in everything too.
Yeah, right on. So tell me about the apartment building. What are you looking at next?
I would love to get somewhere that has like some commercial units with some residential above, because I do love that style of building. Like we see them all along Barton, King, Ottawa.
Barton's changing a lot right now.
Yes.
It's getting a nice facelift.
That's the spot I'm watching for sure. And I'd love to have 3 storefronts and 6 or 9 units above it. That would be fun for me, I think. And I always want to dabble in that commercial stuff, and I would love to put an office there.
Nice. You are growing, man. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be super cool.
We're growing the team as a whole, so I want everybody to have a spot to come and do their work.
Oh man, I'm so happy for you, man.
More productive.
That's cool. Top 30 under 30, lots of properties, and you're continuing to grow the team.
And I'm in the top 100 for our board this past year too.
That is awesome, bro.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of you, man. Stuff. That is awesome.
Thank you.
So good.
Yeah.
Really, really
And
cool.
you're killing it too. You're doing so great. Amazing things with the Mission35.
We're super happy about it.
Educating consumers.
Yeah, you know what? We're educating people. We're actually, we just did a talk today at Mohawk College.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's where I went to school. So we got to end up going and talk to a whole bunch of, and you know what we talked about? Buying your first house now.
Oh,
telling kids that are 23, 24 years old, and we went out and said, listen, you know what? Now is the absolute best time to go buy a house.
Yeah.
What do you say to people about a bubble? I bet you lots of your clients say, Tobias, are we in a bubble?
People ask all the time, are we in a bubble?
So what do you say to that?
And I always say that the media makes up stuff. They have to sell papers. Their job is to sell papers, so they want to shock you with something.
And that's scary.
And that is a scary title. When they really look into it, nobody really knows.
I agree.
For sure. And they've been saying the bubble, in Toronto even, for a very long time.
Yeah.
And what I do is I look at our property versus other places, because we go out to conferences that are worldwide.
That's true. You're just in R4.
We were just at R4.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing is to go talk to people about where they live and what their market's like.
What did you learn? That's cool.
If you talk to somebody for overseas, like Europe, London, Japan, China.
And you had all those people there.
All those people are there. Yeah. Brokers, real estate agents, all that stuff. Our real estate is still cheap compared to theirs.
So cool.
And that's why a lot of people talk about foreign investment. it's uncertainty in their markets is why they want to put their money elsewhere, but also they choose Canada because it's safe. They know more than we do, right? They have all the money.
Yeah.
They're not going to just dump it in Toronto
because it's the six.
Because it's the six.
Yeah.
But no, they do it because they've done their research and they feel that it's a safe spot.
That's a great point. You know what? So I think we forget about that because we get so, we're in our market. We're in Hamilton. We get so
normalized to
and then we're like, this is crazy. But then when you look at it, if I'm an international investor, I'd be like, this is cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I'll buy two.
Yeah, totally.
Because
I always draw the same parallel where people say, it's so expensive. But everybody knows $1 Million Listing New York. They watch it.
Yeah.
If you watch
New
York, like Toronto, like, they're similar in that they're the hub of the area.
Yeah.
It's like free in Toronto versus New York.
It's true. With the currency as well too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I saw a stat, it reminded me of the cost per square foot.
And
it had, I think the number one place was Paris.
Yeah.
And it was some ridiculous thousands of dollars per square foot, equivalent to US dollars. It was Paris, then Japan, and then I think Sweden was in there, and then New York, and then Toronto was, you're right, way down the list.
And even cost per square foot, they do a lot on $1 Million Listings.
They do.
And they do like $2,500 per square foot for a condominium.
Yeah.
We're selling our houses at like $300 a square foot for a 2,500 square foot house on a huge detached lot. It's versus other areas, it's still not crazy. It's crazy to us because 5 years ago, we were repressed as an area. Really.
And we say it's crazy too,
especially 10 years ago. Even like it was very, very down market. Like for us, it was still like a seller's market because we've been in a seller's market for a long time. But to anybody surrounding us, that was really a buyer's market. There's a lot of people that invested 5-10 years ago that are doing insanely well now.
Yeah.
And it's because to them it was a buyer's market because it was cheap.
A lot of investors that think, God, I should have bought 10 more.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Why didn't I buy 10 more? Right?
I should have bought my commercial building then.
Yeah, I know. But then, you know what? Let's make sure we're not saying that 10 years from now.
Exactly, right? You don't want to keep, you can only talk about the bubble for so long before it's just something you talk about and it hasn't happened.
You know what? I'm not going to predict when. I think we'll see a downturn sometime. Do you know what I mean?
It's like the stock market goes up and down.
Totally, right? I saw this cool graph the other day. It took the average price of Canadian homes since 1980.
Yes.
And when the biggest dip was 2008.
Yes.
Remember when everybody thought the world was going to end?
Totally.
And it was cool because if you bought a house in the peak of the market in 2008, let's say you signed that purchase and sale agreement, and then the next day, shit hit the fan, you're like, oh God, right? Your house would have been worth the same price less than 18 months later.
Totally. It's very quick recovery.
Totally, right?
Even in the US, that's like when that's from, right?
Yeah.
We had locally too, like late 80s, early 90s, same thing, big drop. Had 6 really tough years in real estate.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about how they bought their house in 1990 and they still have it today and it's not worth anything.
True. Right? Yeah, you're totally right. I think the biggest what advice would you give to people about a bubble? Would you say anything to people and say, listen, if there is a bubble, like what would you tell them to do?
For investor mindset especially?
Yeah, like investors or people just looking to buy their first home.
For people buying in their first home, probably they're going to be there a long time. They're going to live through that bubble, that correction, that anything that gets adjustments it's gonna dip and it's gonna go back up, just like it always has.
Right.
Just like any market.
Yeah.
It's
You're so
highs and lows, and it's real estate is not the not the short game.
I agree.
It's not quick and sexy.
Yeah.
You're in it for the long haul. If your 10-year plan is to make a lot of money,
totally.
Real estate is the safest because it's gonna just keep going. That 10-year curve, there's no dip in 10 years that it stays down.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. And if you buy something that you can afford,
if you can buy what you can afford, yeah, definitely. If in 5 years you're scrambling because our interest rates may be adjusted 1% or something like that,
which is possible.
Go through that potential. Like, what happens if it becomes?
Well, I think our mortgage rules have done that now too. Like we're pretty
I think
conservative now, right? Like in the sense that
they don't lend on stuff they don't think you're going to be able to afford it. I think that even
the stress test.
2 points, right? The stress test.
So you know what? Rates have to go up 2 points. Like we're so conservative now, and that's my thing. My biggest thing with a bubble.
Yeah.
If there's a bubble, or if prices go down, don't sell your property.
Don't sell it. Yeah, exactly. Just
sorry to the realtor.
Just hold on to it.
Just hold on to it.
Just hold on to it for another couple of years,
or buy more.
Or buy more. If there really is a bubble, that's another thing I am in turmoil with. Should I keep buying right now, or is there a bubble? Should I wait?
Great question.
You
know what? And I know I think about that too
forever.
sometimes. You're absolutely right, and I think it comes down to, like, I love Warren Buffett. You know, he's like a gazillionaire, right? He's got a lot of money, so he's a good guy to listen to.
Totally.
And he always, I remember listening to him, reading his book, and he said, like, it's really, really hard to time the market.
Totally.
Right? So if you just buy and hold, and he says that the biggest mistake you can make is being out of the market when there's like a change.
Totally.
So you might as well just be in it.
Yeah.
So I think, like, you know, because I think about that. Should I hold on? Should I not buy right now?
Yeah.
But it's like, might as well keep going.
Just keep going. And people that ask, like 6 months ago, oh, should we wait? Look what happened to them now in this market.
Oh my gosh.
Like 20% increase.
Do you have any clients right now that like said to you, I'm going to wait a year?
Totally. Totally. I have clients like that. And I said, listen, you know, there's nothing you can do to keep up with appreciation unless you have 4 people that all work amazing jobs and make great money and you save every penny. You can't keep up with the appreciation.
You just feel bad.
Yeah.
Like I do. Like I
have clients that they were going to buy, didn't find anything that they really liked. They said, we're going to hold off. They signed a lease and a place for a year.
Wow.
They are no longer able to buy.
Yeah.
Their price range that they were shopping in, the like low to mid 200s, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. They have to go
here.
elsewhere now, right?
They have to drive till they qualify.
Yeah, they have to drive till they qualify. Is that a new? I like that.
Yeah.
Drive till you qualify.
Drive till you qualify, and like Toronto, like people are, you know, that's why they're migrating out this way.
Yeah. Till you qualify.
Drive till you qualify.
Sorry,
I qualify for a Burlington home. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I
qualify for here.
I qualify for
St.
Hamilton.
Catharines.
I qualify for St. Catharines solely.
Yeah.
And there was a blog I just saw, and we reposted it. It was like outrageous increase, like 300% increase on a certain type of home in Niagara.
Wow. In Niagara, right?
Niagara.
Drive till you qualify. So you're going down to Niagara now, right?
You see we talk about, a lot of people talk about, oh, Toronto buyers, they're going to come overpay for our house or whatever.
Well, guess what Hamilton people are going to do?
Now that's what Niagara people say about Hamilton people. They're going to come pay crazy price. Mm-hmm. And it's only crazy to your internal, personal decision about the area. I love Hamilton, and I think that it has so much to offer. And I think that in the future, we're going to see that it's very desirable to live here. There's so much to offer. Like our infrastructure supports, you know, beautiful downtown, old architecture, escarpment water. Like we have
food, the restaurants. Like, oh man, I like to eat.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Like
totally.
There's good concerts coming to Hamilton now. Like there's cool stuff that's coming.
Yeah.
It's not just the Arkells now. We've got, and I love the Arkells.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we're attracting more and more talent. You know?
Absolutely, and it's desirable. There's not a lot of areas like ours that can do that sort of thing. If you drive out Caledonia, just because it's that way, they don't have infrastructure to support what we can. So
it's true.
Why not buy in an area that is exciting to be in?
So you don't think there's a bubble right now? No. Me neither. I don't think there's a bubble right now. And you know what? If there is a bubble right now,
if there is a bubble,
I wouldn't change my opinion on what to do.
3 years ago, they talked about the bubble too.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you bought 3 years ago?
You'd be up probably over 60% right now, if not more.
Even if the bubble pops, it's not going back to where it was.
I agree.
And if you just don't sell it.
Right.
It's going to recover, and you won't even know there was
a bubble.
Take
your equity. If you're worried about a bubble and you're in the market, I say take your equity, hold on to it, buy more when it comes.
Yeah.
Even though I think you should now.
I think you should
But don't not get into the market, right?
And the other thing, too, I was looking at, with our interest rates the way they are right now, the amount that you pay down on your principal versus when my dad always brings up, oh, we used to pay, which was only in like 95, he said he paid like 9.5% on a house that was around $100,000.
Yeah.
Like we just had a regular house, I think it was $95,000.
Yeah.
The amount of interest he paid versus his principal, it was weighted. His payment wasn't much different than what I was paying when I was paying 2.5% or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
His interest was more than 75% of what he was putting on his principal.
Yeah.
Where now it's like 50-50 in your first year.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
So it's almost like forced savings.
Yeah.
You know, half that money, yes, you have a mortgage payment, but half of it's coming back to you.
It's true.
It's paying down the principal, and it's either releasing further lending by way of home equity line of credit or something like that.
Yeah.
Or growing your personal net worth with your property.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you do sell it and buy something else or whatever you choose to do.
Yeah.
But that money, only half of it is going away in interest in the first year, and then it's weighted.
It gets more, right? Like more of it's going towards principal every single year.
My dad wasn't seeing that sort of ratio on his mortgage until like midpoint through.
Oh, really?
Or later.
Yeah. You know what? That's funny. I never thought of that.
And that was in the first year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if there is a bubble and it bursts and the value goes down and the interest rates are 4.5%. You paid so much off your principal in that first 5-year term, if that's what the product you choose.
Yeah.
Even if you refi or if you redo your mortgage at that new interest rate, your payment is almost the exact same. So as long as you have your job, you can afford it, and do everything that you do, things really aren't going to change.
And I think it comes back to sound financial principles too. Buy something you can afford.
Totally.
Hey, if you're really worried about it, buy a duplex.
Yeah.
Buy something with an in-law suite, right? That's what we were telling the kids today. Like, don't buy your first house as, your forever house. Buy your first house with an in-law.
Yeah.
Why not? Like, I find kids today, these kids today, they're like, oh, you feel it. It's funny. I'm having that moment now. They're like, they want to have everything now, but there's no reason why you can't sacrifice a little bit.
Totally.
And if you're really worried about a bubble, have something that's going to pay you $1,200 a month or $1,000 a month too, because then guess what? Your living costs are subsidized.
Totally. And I again, with expectations, I have that with first-time home buyers, always trying to manage the expectations. They want to go from their parents' house that they have now, where they have huge, luxurious house and granite and new kitchens and new baths and all this stuff. They want to right side onto their own and have the same things. And it's not a realistic expectation. They want their parents now when their parents, if they ask them, which nobody ever does, but they probably will tell them that they started out in a terrible little doggy place that needed work, and they were up all late hours of the night painting and cleaning
they
up.
put in the sweat equity.
They put in the sweat equity.
Yeah.
And I think that parents should also tell their kids, like, hey, this is good. This is what we did, and look at where it got us.
Well, I tell my 7-month-old baby all the time now. I tell Lila, listen, she looks at me and like this, but I tell her all the time now, you're getting a duplex.
You get the duplex.
When you start.
And that was my first house.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
4 units, and it's not fun to live with 4 other people, for sure. But I did it for 8 years.
But that sacrifice.
And that sacrifice paid off insane right now.
Spades. Like, you look at the things that you've done and you're doing right now, like that was like one... It was probably a hard choice, but just a phenomenal choice you made.
Yeah.
And change your life.
Everything is different now.
Yeah.
There's, with 6 rental properties, multiple different units, like
you employ your family.
I employ my family through that income.
Cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Like, that's such a proud thing, Well, Tobias, I just want to say thanks, man. This was a wicked conversation on the bubble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
because really, it's such a hot topic, and I think it's just such a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
If you predict the same thing every day, eventually you'll be right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, eventually someone's going to be right and say there's a bubble, because if you say there's going to be a bubble, one day you'll be right.
Happen, right?
Yeah.
I wish we had an old Spectator article from like 4 years ago. I'm sure if we went and looked, we could find it.
And then,
on the bubble. Bubble. Yeah.
And you'd probably find one from 3 years ago too.
Yeah.
And 2 years. You're right, man. Well, Tobias, thanks for taking time, man. I know you're a busy guy, man.
Appreciate it.
And we'll have to do this again. I always love our chats.
For sure.
Cheers.
Cool. Thanks.